Hey awesome people YouTube, welcome to another Baldur's Gate 3 video. In this one we're going to be talking about Paladin, right? Just a class overview. But before we get started, I just want to say if you want to help support the channel, you can do so by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing. It helps tremendously with the algorithm and all other stuff. And I do have my own Discord, the link is in the description. You can chat and join it and have a good time. And I do try to stream almost every single day around 4 p.m. Eastern, and I am planning on doing a Baldur's Gate playthrough, so if you want to see it, let me know, and let me know what class and builds you might want to see, right? And last but not least, if you want to see other type of stuff on this on the channel, do let me know down in the comments. But with all that wonderful stuff said, let's talk about Paladins. Paladins is probably one of the more played classes because, well, it looks cool, it has decent versatility, right? And it's primarily a tank. So, as I stated, Paladins are usually played as a tank role. They're melee DPS. They can provide some support via their buffs and healing, as well lay hands, which is a class feature, which is on our right. You can see I can use my lay hands to heal. It doesn't use a spell slot versus stuff like a Divine Smite or Wrathful Smite. It uses spell slot, so it's pretty good, right? So, unlike other classes, Paladin has 4 subclasses. You won't see the 4th one, you only see 3, and that's your oath. You have your oath Ancients, Oath of Devotion, and Oath of Vengeance. But the 4th class, as if you break your oath, is Oath Breaker. It's pretty much frees you from your obligation, so you won't have to follow your specific subclass, your specific oath. Stuff like if you're Oath of Ancients, you should be more merciful, you know. Oath of Vengeance, you should be punishing more, stuff like that, right? Oath Breaker, you're free, and each of the subclasses changes things for you, right? But before we get into subclasses, primarily abilities of your Paladin is Strength, because that's where your big damage comes from. Constitution, which allows you to get more and do it, pretty much get more hit points, right? Don't mind at mine, I have a different build, I'll talk about it a little later. Dexterity is also helpful, not because it's ranged weapons and finesse, but it also allows you to get more initiative and armor, right? And definitely a bit of charisma, because unless you have a bard or a sorcerer or warlock, your Paladin will try to be pretty much a face of the party, someone who usually talks to, you know. But my build is a little different, which, you know, we'll talk about it later. Your primary spell damage, well, not primary spell damage, but your primary damage can be your basic attack, you know, which is not bad. Mind you, I have a different weapon. But usually what you want to do is use your Divine Smite. As you've seen, according to the screen, my main hand damage is 10 to 22 versus the Smite is 12 to 38. And if I can get it to level 3 Smite, it's 14 to 54. And with other stuff, you can do just massive amount of damage. Especially since it's radiant damage, the enemies who are weak to it are Fiends, Undead, and some few other enemies which I won't spoil. Okay. So you can use the Divine Smite, you can use Wrathful, Searing Smite. There's a few smites, but I haven't picked them, right? So you can play Paladin with any race. You can be a Tiefling, you can be a half-orc, you can be a Drow, you can be a gnome. It does not matter. It's all on you which race you want to play as a Paladin, right? Now let's quickly talk about your spell slots, because you do have some of them, but unlike main spellcasters like Wizard, Sorcerer, Warlock, right, and a few others, you're not gonna have a lot of them. At most you can have level 3 spell slots, and that's if you primarily go into Paladin, just all 12 levels. At level 9 and 10 you will have 2 level 3 spell slots, and at 11 and 12 you will have 3 level 3 spell slots, 3 level 2 spell slots and 4 level 1 spell slots, which might not seem great, but you're not a spellcaster. You primarily damage that utilizes spellcast or spell slots for stuff like Divine Smite. Right? The primary fighting style is, again, melee. You can go with two-handed weapons. You can go with sword and shield, or one-handed and shield. Right? You also, since you're melee class, you can pick your fighting style. You can go with dueling. You can go with two weapon fighting. You can go with a protective with a shield. It's up to you. I went with two-handed because I'll be using two-handed weapons. Now let's talk about excuse me, subclasses. Right? So mentioned there's 4: of the Ancients, of Devotion, of Vengeance, and of Breaker. Right? So, of Ancients is more of your AoE heal. You know, you have quite a lot of crowd control, a single target, and you can use stuff like Fae and Fiend's Fiend's Flee. I apologize for that. To make enemies forfeit their actions. Also, as of the Ancients, you can speak with the animals, which is pretty good unless you have somebody who already has it. You know, which if you don't, speaking with animals can be really cool because you might have a special quest, or you might be able to talk to a dog named Scratch or a bunch of different cats. It's pretty cool. And later, you also, shortly after you get that stuff, you also be able to have Moonbeam, which is a pretty nice early game spell that does small AoE, and you can move it, but well, you can move it for free once you cast it for 10 turns, but you must be concentrating, you know. So once you cast it, you use the spell slot, and then you can move it for 10 turns without using any additional spell slots. You also get Misty Steps, which is excellent for Paladins because you don't have a great sometimes mobility, so you lack a little bit compared to classes like Barbarian, Monks, and Rangers. So you can use Misty Steps to teleport and close the gap between you and the front line or the back line of the enemy. You also get Protection from Energy, which is situational, and a planetary growth as well, but it's mainly if you want to keep those enemies in the melee. You know, they're used in very specific situations, but it's not bad. And then you get Aura Warding on of the Ancients, which is extremely strong aura that can save you and your party, especially in late game when spells get a bit deadly. You know? Now let's talk about Oath of Devotions. Oath of Devotions deals pretty much with reactions, because you'll be able to use reactions to deal very good damage to enemies that hit them. So, with Oath of Devotions, you get lesser restoration, which is again situational, but it's good. It allows you to you can use that lesser restoration even if you're silenced, which is effective against spellcasters, and since they be able to do stuff. You also get Beacon of Hope, which can help you in a tough fight, allowing you to maximize a roll of healing in your party and remove curse, which again situational, but it also is pretty good to have that. You also get Aura of Devotion, which makes it so you and nearby allies cannot be charmed, which is useful against certain enemies that primarily try to charm you. Right? Now let's talk about Aura of the Vengeance, which is what I picked. It increases your damage and damage of allies. That do daze excuse me. That do daze enemies as bonus actions. Daze enemies have disadvantage on wisdom saving throws and can't take reaction, and they lose their AC or armor class from dexterity. So as Oath of the Vengeance, you get Bane, which is a decent spell that is better for paladins to cast, because you want to use your cleric or bard for other things if you have them. You also get a wonderful spell called Hold Person, which allows you to hold the humanoid enemy still. They cannot move or react, and then if you attack them within melee range of 3 meters, it will always be a critical, which will do massive damage. They also get Misty Steps. Already talked about them. They get Haste, which allow you to get a nice amount of movement speed, and also gives you an extra attack. You also get protection from energy. It gives you resistances depending on what you need. Right? And for your aura of the vengeance, you get a feat which allows you to get more movement speed on the next turn if you make an attack of opportunity, aka enemy moves away from your range, which is not ideal, but that is what it is. Now for the last subclass of Oathbreaker, you get Control Undead, which allows you to use your oath to gain control over undead creature, which will follow you around and attack your enemies, and it will last until long rest. And it uses Channel Oath charge, which is a little shield on the bottom. You also get Hellish Rebuke, but also do other subclasses get Hellish Rebuke, which uses your reaction to attack an enemy that hits you. Even if they're saved against it, they still take half the damage. You also get Inflict Wounds, which is a really amazing level 1 spell, which does 3d10 or 3 to 30 damage. It utilizes your high charisma, or you utilize your charisma for it. You also get Crown of Madness, which is level 2 spell slot, which instills madness in a humanoid enemy, making them attack the creature closest to them, except you, other than you, even if it's allied creature. It's pretty good. You also get Darkness. It's a good control spell, but so do a few other ones. Get Darkness. As you can see, it pretty much creates a heavily obstructed shroud and blinds the enemies. They cannot make ranged attacks into or out of it. You also get Bestow Curse, which is similar to Whole Person, but does not provide critical hits, or does not provide guaranteed critical hits. Instead, it just increases the damage you deal against the target. You can also get Animate Dead, which allows you to create undead servants from corpses. And last but not least, you get an aura of Hate, which makes you and nearby fiends and undead get an additional 3 to damage dealt with the melee weapons. The aura will disappear if you fall unconscious. So that's the stuff you get. You get other stuff by leveling primarily into Paladin, all 12 levels. And so let's talk about them. We already talked that level 1 you pick your subclass, you get Lay of Hands, Divine Sense, and Channel Oath. At level 2, you get your level 1 spell slot, 2 of them, and you'll be able to pick your fighting style. We already talked about that. Level 3, you gain Divine Health, which makes you immune to disease, which is really nice, even though you won't be using it often, but it's really, really good. Now at level 4, you have your feats, and in there you'll be able to pick on what you're playing with or what your build is. I usually try to take Alert, which allows me to go first because it gives you +5 initiative and makes you unable to be surprised, which is really good because there's few instances where you will be surprised, or if you don't pass a perception check, you will be surprised. So not being surprised, which is huge, because if you're surprised, you can take more damage and you kind of skip your turn. Right? You can, if you don't want Alert, you can take ability score improvement or ASI, taking strength or constitution or charisma depending on your build. Level 5, you get level 2 spell slots and you get extra attack, which is really nice because attacking twice, you can get rid of enemies that much faster. Level 6, Paladins will be blessed with the Aura Protection. It's a smallish AoE that grants the charisma modifier to all saving throws to any character standing inside of your AoE aura. Now at level 7, you gain an extra subclass feature. It depends on your subclass. At level 8, you get a second feat. If you did not take ability score improvement, you can take that. You can also take Savage Attacker, allows you to roll your damage roll die twice, which is pretty good. And if you did not take Alert, you can take that. Level 9, you get level 3 spell slot, which allows you to pretty much use divine, allows you to use the highest divine smite that you can, just giving you that much more damage. Right? And you also, in one of the spell slots, you can get a Revivify, which is nice in case something bad happens, but it's more situational. You can use scrolls for that. Level 10, you get Aura of Courage, which is bestowed on all paladins, which prevents you and nearby allies from being frightened, which is situational, but it can happen. You know? And if you're frightened, you can now move. You have to pretty much attack at range, and I think you get some other debuffs. I'm not too sure. At level 11, you get Improved Divine Smite, which further increases the damage of your attacks, and it does it passively. You know? So your Divine Smite can just do huge amounts of damage. At level 12, which is currently the max level in Baldur's Gate 3, you're able to choose your final feat. You know, you can go with ability improvement score, ability score improvement, or ASI, to get your strength to 20, or constitution if you want, or charisma. And if you have not taken Savage Attacker, you can take that. You can also take two weapon fighting. Let me tell you which one it is, so I don't give you the wrong. Believe Great Weapon Master, all in. Yeah, that is pretty good. It does give you -5 to penalty, but you can get your damage increased by 10, and if you land the critical or a kill on a target, it allows you to hit another enemy within, if you can reach them, with the bonus action. That's pretty much it for all the levels. Let's talk about some of the like if you want to stay as a primary paladin, or if you want to like multi-class as a paladin. There are benefits to staying as a pure paladin. You get a bunch of auras, or you can be multi-classing into stuff like sorcerer or warlock, bards. You know, you can be you can go into a fighter if you want a little bit. It's up to you. Right? There are some benefits. There are some disadvantages. You can go with bard like College of Valor or College of Swords in order to pick up an extra attack at level 8. You go with that. You can go with a sorcerer or warlock, you know, allowing you to use offensive spell a little more. Right? I went with a warlock. I'm doing Lock-it-in or Padlock, however you want to say it, because it allows me, as you can see, have 2 level 3 spell slots at my level, which is level 10, and I can have 3 attacks. Right? If I cast Bind Pact Weapon, boom, that's free, and it lasts until long rest, and it costs me nothing. I cannot drop this weapon, I cannot throw it, which with this weapon is not ideal because it can also be thrown for decent stuff, and I become proficient with it if I wasn't already, right? And since I'm level 5 warlock, the Bind Pact Weapon, or Pact of the Weapon, I think, is the subclass from the warlock, or Pact that you pick. It allows me to attack once normally and then attack again because of the weapon being packed. And since I'm level 5 in the paladin, I can do 3 attacks, right? And since we all know, or if you don't, warlock can gain his spell slots back on short rest, which allows me to use my divine level 3 that much more. I can use all of it. I can burn through my level 3 just getting rid of the big tough enemies, and then I can get a short rest and I have it back. So I can expand all of my divine smite, level 3, level 2, level 1s, and then take a quick short rest and I have the highest divine smite, right? From there, if you want to have something like similar like this, what you can go for the last 2 levels is multi-class again into a fighter for 2 levels, because at level 2 you get action search, which will allow you to attack again, so you can get 6 attacks a turn per short rest, which is really amazing. And it can go up to, I believe, 8, or maybe just 7, sorry, if you get your Great Weapon Master, if you do a critical or kill an enemy, which with this I do a decent amount of crit, so you can do multiple attacks. Or if you want to be not utilize the Divine Smite, you can just get a little bit into Warlock and just go primarily for Eldritch Blast, which is huge because Eldritch Blast level 5 and 10 will get an additional projectile, right? And you will be able to get the antagonizing blast and repelling blast. I apologize if I butchered them, which can help you, especially in the early stages or in some fun stuff where you can push the enemies. For example, if I cast it on my buddy, as you can see, it will push them. Boom. It pushed them around. So you can do that. I'm pushing enemies off the cliff. But that's pretty much primarily it. Actually, no, I apologize. So I forgot the biggest things, the equipment. Depending what style you went with, could determine the weapons you go. If you want to primarily two-handed stuff, you obviously want to be utilizing two-handed weapons, which will gain more benefits to it. If you want to be on protection, utilizing sword and shield, you could do so, which allows you to be a little bit more tanky versus two-handed, which pretty much makes you a bit more damage. You also want to try to wear heavy armor since you're proficient in a lot of things. And heavy armor has the highest armor class, and you can get something like adamantine splint armor very early in the game in Act 1, which allows you to not be taking crit hits, which is huge because critical hits do a massive amount of damage. Allows your damage to be reduced by 2. When the melee attack hits you, you can send them reeling 3 turns, right? But you do have disadvantage on stealth checks, but we're not stealthy, right? So you want to utilize heavy armor, and depend on your weapons, you want to utilize the ones that you prefer, not proficient, but pick your fighting style, be it sword and shield, or two-handed, or you can go with the other ones like dueling and stuff like that. Right? You're not primarily a ranged character, but you can pick ranged stuff, ranged weapons to benefit you. Like I have this one, which provides fire and cold resistance. I'm a tiefling, so I'm already resistant to fire, but cold resistance is not bad, but it also gives me a level 3 haste, which makes me hasten and I gain an action, and I become fast and I gain 2 armor class. I do have to be concentrating, and after 10 turns I become lethargic. There's a few other weapons that can be pretty good, as if I can find them. I'm not sure if it's this one, but there's a few other ones. I apologize, I don't remember on top of my head. I might have them in a chest somewhere. But there's weapons that make you to where you need to have 1 less crit, or where you gain more damage against monstrosities, which is really, really nice because you would deal more damage. There you go, like a dead shot, which the number you need to roll a crit hit while attacking is reduced by 1, and it can stack, you know. So you can utilize those type of weapons. And if you're in Act 1 or in Daemon, you can pick up a really nice bow which gives you more damage against monstrosity types. So your ranged weapon is not necessarily for attack, which you can use if you can close distance, but it's primarily to benefit your stats, be it through resistances or needing to roll less on a critical or have an advantage against certain enemy types. But that's going to be it for this class guide, or not class guide, class overview. And if you did enjoy it, do leave a like, comment, subscribe. And if you don't, tell me what I missed or tell me how I can improve. But with that said, don't forget to stay awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.